Hello, everybody. Welcome to the February 15th virtual support session for Pathways. I hope you all are excited about trying out Pathways and got your emails and that you jumped on, took the assessment, or at least kind of poked around a little bit because Pathways is out there and it is exciting. So as a reminder, what we're going to do tonight is it's going to be the same format with a slight bit of an announcement at the beginning, a reminder about the Basecamp, and that should say Basecamp Manager email. And then if there's any questions that you had that were submitted or questions that I have pulled from our Pathways Guides meeting and our master Q&A document, which has now reached over 1,000 questions that have been submitted to Toastmasters International. I've got a couple of those extracted as well. We'll go through a short demo, and then if there's any additional questions, we will take those questions. If we go over 30 minutes, we're going to need to break off, then relog in, because I am being frugal and we're using the free version of Free Toast Host, and then we could start back in and go over questions. So welcome to the session. So just as a reminder, we'll go to the next slide. We talked a little bit in our last virtual session about the importance of having a Basecamp Manager email that your Vice President of Education, your President, and your Secretary can all access. And just as a reminder, the email that is listed here when you go to the Find a Club in Toastmasters, that is the email that will be used whenever there's any communication that needs to go to the Basecamp Manager. That can include somebody who's completing a level and submitting that for approval, or any communication from Toastmasters International to go to the Basecamp Manager. There are a number of clubs who use this email as their Vice President of Public Relations or someone else who is willing to take inquiries from somebody wanting to know more about the club. So some people have suggested using an email that all club officers can access, and then just make sure you know that if it's an inquiry, your Vice President of Public Relations can handle it, and if it's something that's for the Basecamp Manager, your Vice President Education, President, and Secretary will all be able the ones to access that, because they're the only ones that can take any Basecamp Manager action. So that's a role-based environment. So as a reminder, where are those located? If you go to Club Central, you have to be logged in, of course, to do this. Go to Club Central, make sure that you are an officer, select the club that you are an officer for, that you want to change that. Your first screen will go down to Club Contact and Meeting Information. When you click on that, then you can go down to the details here, and it's this email address right here that is used for the Basecamp Manager. So make sure that all of your club officers can access that, at least the Vice President of Education, the President, and the Secretary. And then you might want to, as I mentioned, have access opened up to at least the Vice President of Public Relations for inquiries, or you can have all of your officers who can check on that. That's club specific, whatever you'd like to do there. So here's some questions that are important for us now, and one that I extracted from the Q&A document the Pathways Guides get that was also asked by somebody. So is the Basecamp Manager able to see if a member has started on an assessment and has not completed it? So this answer I did extract directly from the Q&A document, and it says no, Basecamp Managers do not have access to a member's Pathways assessment data, including where they are and if they've started or finished the assessment. Something I found that Toastmasters International is very, very protective of people's privacy. So they want to make sure that people feel very comfortable, and they don't want to have people knowing it's like, oh, you started this, and have someone come up and it's like, well, you finished, that sort of thing. So it's very much they're protecting the member privacy. So you will only be able to find out if somebody has started their assessment by asking them. And this may actually be a very good practice, because then you can find out if they have any hesitation, are they having any questions, do they know where to find the assessment, do they have the email? So I think that personal interaction is a really good one. So you may just want to check with your club members and find out who has started their assessment, or does anybody have any questions. Now this has come up a few times, both in the club, and then it's also come up in the webinars with the Pathways Guides. How does an evaluator upload their evaluation? Well, they don't. Only the speaker can upload their evaluations, and that's only if they choose to upload their evaluations. Again, the privacy issue with Toastmasters International is only the speaker can see what they upload, and it's their choice to upload or not. So there's just no way that anyone else is going to say, oh, you know, I saw that you're not doing so well in this area, or congratulations on that. It's completely personal and very private. So as a reminder, there's a couple of things you can do with the evaluations. All of the evaluation forms are available to every Toastmaster. So you can point your evaluator to that form. Now, should the person that's your evaluator decide to use the feature of being able to enter the data, and I personally haven't done this, I'm going to be trying this out, they can do that as long as they're going through the Pathways environment. Once they download that form, I understand that it does not allow you to do the entry. Like I said, I'm going to verify that. You can then save it into your file, your computer, and then send it to the speaker so the speaker can choose to do it as they wish, or you can print it and then just handwrite out the evaluation. So again, it's whatever you want to work out between the evaluator and the speaker. And in one of my clubs, for quite some time, the evaluator has just popped it into her computer, the text, and she just goes against the questions, and then I get an email when the meeting is over. So however you want to work it out with your evaluator-speaker combinations is your choice. Now, as I was going around to visiting all of the clubs, I had suggested to people, if you want to try your Icebreaker Pathways, Icebreaker speech right away, go for it. It was available, it still is available, and in fact, any prospective member can go check it out. So that might be a marketing tool. So if you've got somebody who has completed the Pathways Icebreaker, there is a request form for the Icebreaker completion request form. I'll send that link out in a subsequent email. So once the person has selected a path, and this is what I understand is a requirement, if they have not selected a path, they need to do that before the Icebreaker completion will be registered. So that's something that you can go ahead and put in there. Now let's go over to a demo. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. I'm also going to, let's see, pull up the demonstration. So if you'll hold on with me for just one moment, I want to make sure that I've got that up and ready to go. Okay, hold on. We're going to share the screen. And if you have any questions, just remember to go ahead and put that into the chat feature, and I will check to see if there's anything there. Okay, now we're ready to go. Okay, so here we are on the main page for Pathways. This is once you've logged in. And as a reminder, you can go ahead and put a very little teeny tiny picture of yourself there, so you don't have to really worry so much about what you look like, because it really kind of looks like a thumbprint. So whatever you'd like to put in there is your picture. And just as a reminder, as you're coming down here, this is where your educational transcript will appear. So I've got Pathways Guides task, and I've been using the Basecamp environment so that I can learn what Basecamp operates like. So it's a little bit familiar to me now when I go into my selection of my path. So I went through and I took my assessment, and visionary communication is the path that I decided to take. So I can go in here and do the open curriculum. And then as you see here, you're going to be given a score as you go through and complete all of these different areas. As a reminder, there are 2 speeches that have to be given in a specific order. Everyone must start with an icebreaker, and then once you have completed the rest of these items here in level 1, then the rest of the levels will be opened up to you for you to look at. And then in level 5, there is, I want to just make sure, yeah, so right now I can't launch any of this, but the reflect on your path must be conducted at the end. So ideally, the way Toastmasters has structured this is that each level builds on the one before it. However, you can choose to do your icebreaker in level 1, and when you finish level 1 path, or the level 1 in your path, then you could go ahead and work on these at whatever order you want, and then you must do the reflect on your path last. So it's kind of like what we have now, where we could choose to bounce around in the Competent Communicator or any of the advanced manuals, and it's very similar to that. So you must start with an icebreaker, You must end on reflect on your path, and then you could choose to do anything you want in the middle. So let's go back to level 1 with your icebreaker. Right now, until you complete your icebreaker, you cannot do any of these other activities, and you'll notice that because there's no launch button there. Before launch, you're going to see something that says activate. So until I complete my icebreaker speech, I will not be able to activate any of the rest of these. And when you're completed, this is when you're going to be able to say, oh, I'm done with level 1. And so that's when these 3 items are completed. So when you go and do your launch in your icebreaker, and it's loading in just a moment, you will see some information come up in front of you, and I'm going to open up the screen a little bit bigger. I'm launching, and it's taking time. It was up before. So there's 2 things that are going to be that I want to show to you when it does finish launching, and that is you're going to be able to go and navigate with right and left arrows. You may not have a window when it opens up that's big enough to see that. So you might have to stretch your window a little bit. And then there's also a little button at the bottom of that window that lets you see where you are in the different areas. So I'm not sure why this isn't coming up. I tested it before. I was wanting to do a live demonstration. Let me see if I can launch this one more time, if it'll come up. It's loading the tile. So I may have to go ahead. If this doesn't work, well, hello, come here. We're going to do 3rd time's a charm, and I may have to do this as a separate demo, and if that's the case, I'll send it to you. And it's funny because I did it just a moment ago, and it was working just fine. Not sure why it's not working now. All right, so let's see if I've got anything in the chat area for questions that people might have. All right, no. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and stop recording, and then we will open it up, or I'll open it up for questions. So let me